Hello folks. In an ideal world I wouldn't have to be doing this video, but unfortunately it ain't ideal. So in the last video I talked about I would have no problem cursing a minister to the point of death, even knowing that minister might go to hell, if it is a case of helping the people in the church to reach their destination. Okay, so here we go. Let's explain this to people, shall we? At the moment, there are people in the church who believe, for some reason, that they have the power and authority of God. They don't, not in any way, shape or form. Because the power and authority of God is the power and authority that God used to create heaven and earth, and that God used to create trees and sky and moon and etc, etc, etc. That's the power and authority that God used to create Adam and Eve and all the animals and all the flowers and etc. That when God spoke, it happened. That's what we're talking about. Is God going to give that to people who don't want to be led by Him? No. You will never get the power and authority unless you have His nature. Unless you have the nature of Father, you will never have His power and authority. Because the power and authority didn't belong to the Lord. It didn't belong to Yeshua, because Yeshua said, this is of the Father. The power and authority that I have is of the Father. That's what He said. So therefore, you're not going to get that unless you are of the Father. Yeshua was of the Father. So okay, let's settle one thing. Well, basically, that means you cannot curse someone and curse someone to die or anything like that, or curse someone's heart to stop, unless you have that power and authority, which you won't have unless you have His nature. If you have His nature, you'll be guided by God. So you're not going to curse somebody unless God is asking you to do so. Now, let's look at the point. Would God ask you to do so? Yes, because the Bible says that whoever you curse shall be cursed, whoever you bless shall be blessed. So cursing is part of it. And if the Lord is going to curse a fig tree that isn't bearing fruit, to die because it isn't bearing fruit, could that prayer be transferred to a human being? Yes. Will it be transferred to a human being? Yeah. I have no doubt about that at all. I'm pretty sure that will be. Yeah. Well, because if you go to the beginning of Acts, you've got the married couple who lie to God. God uses their deaths as a way of getting the attention of all these people to take their relationship with God seriously. We're in a situation right now where a church is just as flippant and as those two people were. So would God use a similar example now to get people's attention? Maybe. Maybe. And we have to understand that, maybe. But we also have to understand, God said to me, and I've shared this with other people who weren't too happy with it, that if you're walking heaven down, you're expected to use all the tools available to you. So if you only want to use blessing, God won't use you. Unless you're willing to use all the tools available, God won't use you, because you're not of His will. You're still of your will. If you're saying, I will walk heaven down, but I won't use curses, then that's your will. That's not His will. So if you say there are things you won't do anything. You have to understand that you'll be willing to do whatever it is God is asking you to do, whatever that may be, and that you wouldn't have a problem with that. What I said in the previous video is that I wouldn't have a problem with it. I mean, put it this way, am I in that situation? Would I want to do that? No, of course not. Of course not. Because, that person has a life. That person may have a family. Would I want to do that? No. But if it was necessary, would I have a problem doing that if it's for the sake of others? No. No, if God was telling me to do that, no, I wouldn't. Because I'd be trying to see the bigger picture. Yeah, but would I do that as just in a flippant thing? God, no. Well, because if you ever try to do anything like that, not only God won't do it, God won't honour what you're asking, but also guarantee you one thing: you won't have any power or authority for a heck of a long time until you learn, because God's not going to be impressed with that in any way, shape, or form. He's not. So as I say, God won't honour that. The power and authority that you use will always be. It's like okay, on TV, live TV, they have a few seconds delay in what they're doing and when you see it, because if someone swears, they can cut that out. Yeah. Okay. In heaven, things happen instantaneously, but God knows exactly what you're going to do before you're going to do it. And will that power and authority be available to you if you're going to misuse it? No. No. God will cut you off before you have a chance to misuse it, because he knows exactly what you're going to do. There's nothing you can do that can surprise God. So, yeah. If you look at what I said with understanding, you won't have a problem with it. But a lot of people will have a problem with it. So, of course, I've got to do this video afterwards to explain that. I shouldn't have to. I really shouldn't have to. If the people in the church have been educated, I shouldn't have to do any of this at all. But as soon as I did the other one, I felt God was saying, you've got to explain that now, because they won't get it. They will dismiss the whole video because of that. Yeah. Well, if that's the case, then that's the case, isn't it? So there you go. You take care. God bless. I'll speak to you soon. Have a wonderful week, etc., etc. Bye-bye.